For cosmic man is one of the very first and very old archetypes that may be discovered in the human collective unconscious. The age of this figure, which appears in several origin stories, remains a profound enigma. Our ultimate objective is to achieve the state of non-duality, represented by the cosmic man's emblem, the eyes, which is oneness, unity, wholeness, and merging with the cosmos. Adam Kadmon, the celestial man in Jewish mysticism. Ymir, the first giant in Norse mythology. Purusha, the pure cosmic awareness. These are only a few examples of the cosmic man appearing in many civilizations. In traditional Indian thought, the cosmic man is seen favorably because of his role as a creative catalyst. He stands for the unity of all things, whether that is humanity or the cosmos. The cosmic man represents not just the origin of life and the universe, but also its ultimate purpose. The cosmic man serves a greater purpose than only the material world. It's a term for when one's conscious ego comes to think of themselves as the self. The Jungian archetype of the cosmic man represents the aspiration of both individuals and groups toward full self-realization. According to Carl Jung, a person's sense of self represents their entire psyche and the merging of their conscious and unconscious selves. It is the end result of individuation, which he defines as the coming together of one's many identities. Individualization strives to complete one person at a time. To be whole is to be capable of realizing one's destiny and calling in life. Being whole frees a person to express their true self in the world, rather than hiding behind a facade. To become more tolerant of others, we must first accept ourselves more fully. One's own sense of individuality, and by extension, humanity, is bound up in the concept of individuation. Cosmic man's individuation might occur throughout the creative process or after death. The cosmic man archetype is hermaphroditic because he embodies both the masculine and feminine, or the anima and animus. A primordial cosmic giant undergoing individuation is one of the physical characteristics. Plant or animal characteristics and a quaternary structure might be lost in the process. Cosmic man has certain ancient characteristics. An ancient agreement between the elements, plants, animals, and people is based on shared ideas and emotional values. His body eventually disintegrated into the fabric of space and time. According to Norse mythology, Ymir, also known as Orgulmir among the giants, was the first being and progenitor of all Jotnar, a race of frost giants, produced when the ice of Niflheim melted in the fire of Muspelheim. Snorri, Icelandic poet, statesman, and historian Sturluson, 13th century, used a variety of sources as well as his own interpretations to shed light on Ymir's place in Norse mythology. The primary resources are the question and answer poems Grim Nismal and Vaftrud Nismal, as well as the classic Eddic poem Völuspá. Völuspá begins with the Norse origin story of the cosmos as we know it. I have heard stories of folks from long ago when the law was made by giants and Ymir himself existed. There was a gaping hole where the sea and the waves and the sand should have been, and there was grass nowhere. If these poems are to be believed, all that was in the beginning was the polar cold of Niflheim and the scorching heat of Muspelheim. Ginga Gap was the wide chasm between them, the nothingness that preceded the formation of the visible cosmos. Drops of poison flowed from the frozen rivers of Elavagar into the wide and grassless nothingness of Gingagap, the primordial void, giving birth to Ymir, the first sentient entity. One of Ymir's legs is claimed to have mated with the other while he slept, creating a third giant, and the perspiration from beneath his arms is said to have given birth to two more giants, a male and a female. These ancestors gave rise to the frost giant race. Odumbla, a cow giant also born of Gingagap's melting ice, cared for them. The god's progenitor and Odin's grandpa, Buri, was fashioned from a block of salty ice that Odumbla licked into a man's likeness. They both have Buri as a father. 3 boys he fathered. The gods Ve and Odin are included. All of the frost giants were annihilated when these brothers killed the gigantic Ymir and let loose a massive deluge of his blood. The dead body of Ymir was put to use by Odin and his brothers in the creation of the cosmos. They took it to the heart of Gingagap and pulverized his body there. Dwarves are descended from the maggots that burrowed into his body. His teeth and bones turned into stones and mountains. Odin collected sparks and embers from Muspelheim and strewed them into the sky to make the sun, moon, and stars out of Ymir's brains. To build the sky, the gods set 4 dwarfs in place upon Ymir's head. Ask was made from a fallen ash tree, while Embla was made from a fallen elm, by the 3 gods who also made the first humans. They were given life by Odin. They were given the gift of wisdom by Vili, and the gifts of sight and hearing by Ve. Midgard, the safe haven built by the gods out of Ymir's eyebrows, was where they made their home. The presence of Ymir was crucial in the birth of the universe, since it provided the raw ingredients from which the gods might fashion the cosmos. Such a cosmic man is called Adam Kadmon in Jewish mysticism, specifically in Kabbalah, which is an esoteric system, discipline, and school of thought. It must be stressed that Adam Kadmon is not identical to Adam Harishan, the actual first man. The name Adam Kadmon contains the words Adam, which refers to a created creature, and Kadmon, which refers to a manifestation of primeval deity. The eternal and unchanging God, the unfathomable and infinite Einstoft, and the mortal and finite cosmos, God's creation, are all discussed in the esoteric teachings known as the Kadmon Jewish Kabbalah. It is the bedrock upon which Jewish mysticism is built. According to Kabbalah, before creation, there was just the endless light of God. God began the first phase of creation when he shrank his unlimited light to make room for nothing. Then a beam of heavenly light shone through the void, projecting Adam Kadmon's consciousness into the void. Adam Kadmon's initial phase had the shape of 10 concentric circles expanding outward from the beam. Adam Kadmon's human form surrounded the beam of light, containing it in a way that unlimited divine light without vessels cannot. Kabbalah is limited in its ability to foresee the future. Thus, it makes use of humanoid legendary symbols to figuratively express many forms of God. Adam Kadmon is anthropomorphized in Jewish thought. However, Adam Kadmon is uncontained divine light, which stands for untapped human potential. Adam Kadmon is the Yekadar, or the soul of humanity, or the soul of the planet. Philo was the first person to use the term heavenly man. Because he was created in God's image, the heavenly man is incorruptible and celestial, whereas the earthly man is a sloppy mass of stuff that he likens to a lump of clay. In contrast to the earthly man, who God subsequently made and who is perceptible to the senses and shares in earthly attributes, the heavenly man, as the ideal picture of the word or logos, is neither man nor woman, but an incorporeal intellect, solely a concept. Adam Kadmon, also known as the soul of Adam Harishan, the first man, contained all subsequent souls within itself and was hence the highest essence of humanity. In popular culture, Adam Kadmon does not exist. Mystics believe that Adam Kadmon, the first created being and the imprint of God, is the embodiment of humankind's ultimate goal and final destiny, the greatest degree of soul awareness. The 17 works that make up the Corpus Hermeticum are said to have been written by Hermes Trismegistus, a mythological Hellenistic person who combines the attributes of Hermes the Greek and Thoth the Egyptian. The all-knowing intellect recounts the origin of the universe. Hermes Trismegistus reported that the entire mind revealed a vision of creation to him. In the beginning, there was boundless brightness, and from that light arose the deep blackness that eventually coalesced into the primordial stuff we know today as water. The 4 classical elements, fire, air, water, and earth, emerged from this primordial stuff. Everything material was in a state of disorder at this moment. It was just wet, formless, chaotic nature. A word, logos, was then spoken into the anarchy by the all-mind, which was the boundless light and the will underlying all causes. First Son of God, the word logos, arranged the unruly elements into the universe, giving rise to the earth and the 7 celestial bodies that rule it: the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. These 7 kings, Hermes was told, control the fates of humanity. Once matter was formed, the all-knowing intellect turned over control to a hermaphroditic man made in its own image. And when the human spirit witnessed its own image in the waters of earth, it fell in love with the place and yearned to make its home in the wet stuff in which it had gazed. And he went to the underworld, collecting qualities from the 7 planets as he went, already descending. When he arrived on earth, he was completely enveloped by matter incarnated into human form, and became vulnerable to the ups and downs of existence. Mankind quickly grew subservient to its constraints, such as sexuality and sleep. This loss of the term logos rendered man mute. He was now both mortal and immortal, master of his fate, but also subject to it. There, he would experience rebirth after rebirth until he finally gained gnosis, or an accurate understanding of his divine heritage. Only then could the human spirit escape the endless round of rebirths and death and rise again to be at one with God. The account of Adam and Eve's expulsion from the Garden of Eden has parallels in the Hermetic creation myth. In all accounts, the same factor contributed to the downturn. It was due to the original sin of pride in one's own merits. The idea that the soul is trapped in the material world, as held by the Gnostics, and the Hindu belief that reincarnation will continue until moksha are both similar to the Hermetic idea that the soul must be freed from the body. The mythology of Hermes Trismegistus states that God tasked him with teaching humanity the idea of emancipation and reintegration through gnosis, so that people would rediscover their divine origins and the gnosis they had lost. As above, so below is a famous idea highlighted by Hermes Trismegistus that calls attention to the interdependence of the microcosm and the macrocosm and serves as a reminder of humanity's origins. According to the theory of the microcosm and the macrocosm, man is a little version of the cosmos, while the universe itself has human characteristics. The term microcosm-macrocosm analogy is used to describe the long-held belief that the human person, the small order or small universe, and the cosmos as a whole have fundamental structural similarities. The big picture or macrocosm refers to the overall structure or universe. Truths about the nature of the universe may be drawn from truths about human nature, and vice versa, thanks to this basic similarity. This viewpoint, advocated by Plato in his Timaeus, has enormous ramifications, including the possibility that the universe as a whole is conscious and thus possesses a mind or soul called the world soul. In addition, many people, including the Stoics and others influenced by the Stoics like the writers of the Hermetic teachings, considered this cosmic mind or soul to be divine. Therefore, it was concluded that the human soul or mind was also divine. As above, so below is a Hermetic expression that symbolizes the correspondence between the cosmos and the microcosm. Everything up top is just like everything down below, and everything down below is just like everything up top. As within, so without is another way of putting it. What this means is that our inner lives have an effect on our outside lives. This rule applies everywhere. If you're content on the inside, that joy will radiate outside. This guiding concept encapsulates the reality that the rules and phenomena of all levels of existence constantly correlate with one another. This concept may be seen operating on the physical, mental, and ethereal levels of reality. This rule applies everywhere because everything in the cosmos has the same origin. The same rules, principles, and characteristics apply to each individual unit or combination of units of activity as they individually produce their own phenomena on their own plane, making this reality undeniable. The ability to rationally reason from the known to the unknown is analogous to man's ability to use geometric principles to estimate the position and motion of distant suns from his observatory. According to Plotinus, the Neoplatonist, the universe and humans are not two distinct entities, but rather one continuous reality. Soul and body, eternity and mortality, spirit and matter. These were thought to be merged into a single entity. All living things were also subjected to this blending of spirituality and materialism. According to Plotinus's philosophies, Everything possesses spiritual and material qualities to variable degrees. Plotinus refined his understanding of the global spirit. From the perspective of the world soul, human souls come first, followed by matter in the most primitive and imperfect stage of the universe. Despite this very mundane appraisal of the actual universe, Plotinus insisted that all material creation was ultimately divine, since there is only one original source from which it flows. The concept of continuity between the cosmos and man, and between spirituality and materialism, allows us to recognize the one in material objects by their good or beautiful qualities. Plotinus's belief that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve a level of consciousness where one can understand the relationship between the divine Purusha and man is strikingly similar to the Hindu belief that mystic union between man and the cosmic deity is an important religious practice. This enlightened condition is called moksha in Hinduism. Achieving moksha, in their view, allows one to reconnect with the cosmic awareness or the universal soul. The mythic god as savior and first human being is a timeless symbol. The age is unknown at this time. Indian philosophy's Purusha provides an early precedent for the concept of the sun, the revealed god, who deliberately or involuntarily gives himself for sacrifice as a man to create the world or redeem it from evil. Purusha was a primordial god in the ancient Vedas, and it was his sacrifice that brought out all life. Purusha, in his role as creator, gives up his own existence by melting into the universe he made. The Vedas included this story among many others about the origin of the universe. The Upanishads have lengthy discussions on the abstract concept of Purusha, also known as Paramatman or Brahman. The notion of Purusha developed into a more nuanced abstraction throughout the Upanishads and other Hindu philosophical works. Like the Jewish heavenly man Adam Kadmon, he is no longer recognized as a real person. This Purusha is brilliant without and inside, unborn, devoid of life, breath, and intellect, superior to the ultimate substance. Life, breath, and the human intellect all originate in him. Everyone's essence resides in him. The Upanishads use the term Purusha to describe the universal principle, which is described as everlasting, indestructible, formless, and all-pervasive. In Samkhya philosophy, Purusha is the collective noun for the cosmic principle of pure consciousness that is not doing anything and is not connected to anything else. Purusha represents the superego. Pure, non-attributive awareness persists beyond any experience, by mind or senses, and beyond any words or explanations. It is absolute, independent, free, imperceptible, unknowable by other agents. Realization of Purusha is considered essential by both the Samkhya and Yoga traditions as a means to moksha, freedom from the cycle of death and rebirth. Purusha, the spirit, and Prakriti, the matter, are the two ultimate realities in Yoga philosophy. Their mutual interaction is what accounts for all phenomena and the cosmos. Perceivable, tangible reality and invisible, immaterial laws and principles of nature are both considered to be essential to our understanding of the cosmos. Everything that is subject to change and causality is considered part of material reality, or Prakriti. Purusha, which translates to universal principle, is that which is both immutable and uncaused. According to Yoga, in order to fully realize our potential as human beings, we must first get knowledge of our genuine selves, or Purusha. Self-awareness, or Purusha, is an everlasting inner existence. In Hinduism, all sentient creatures are seen to be related by a shared divine essence, and realizing this leads to a state of pleasure that transcends time, space, karma, birth, and death. Similarities exist between the Hindu notion of Purusha and that of the collective unconscious proposed by Carl G. Jung. Jung theorized that all humans have access to a shared mental reservoir called the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is the glue that holds society together, because it stores the shared mental structures that shape the way every person feels, thinks, and acts. What's more, from a psychological perspective, even the most outlandish mythological motifs and symbols can spontaneously manifest at any time in dreams, fantasies, and other exceptional states of mind. sometimes seemingly as the result of specific influences, traditions, and excitations at work on the individual, but often with no such evidence present. The unconscious psyche has a fundamental pool of pictures known as archetypes that are not explicable as individual acquisitions. They add up to the collective unconscious, a level of human consciousness. Since the collective unconscious does exist, it follows that individual consciousness is not a tabula rasa and can be influenced in advance. Instead, it is heavily impacted by one's upbringing and background. The collective unconscious contains the entirety of our ancestors' inner lives, from their earliest imaginings to the present day, unfiltered by the outside factors that inevitably shape it. Being the foundation of all psychic experiences, it has a corrosive effect on one's ability to think freely, since it constantly works to reroute one's thoughts into familiar lines. This shared subconscious does not mature in isolation, but is passed down from generation to generation. It is made up of archetypes, which are pre-existing forms that provide concrete shape to particular mental contents and can only become consciously aware subsequently. As a metaphysical term, Purusha describes the one true oneness at the heart of all that exists. The sages of the East achieve Purusha, a level of awareness that is beyond all functions, while in a trance-like condition. By tapping into the depths of the human mind's subconscious, they can discover revelations of the highest esoteric value. Jung's ideas of the human psyche were strongly impacted by the spiritual and philosophical insights of this rich tradition, and his work is highly influenced and entwined with the ancient knowledge of Hindu spirituality and philosophy. Carl Jung was a voracious reader of sacred literature, such as the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Yoga Sutras. He thought Eastern philosophies may shed light on the Western understanding of the human mind and give new perspectives. His work displays a preoccupation with Eastern philosophy, as seen by his frequent use of Hindu and other Eastern philosophical notions. One of the most striking similarities between Jungian psychology and Hinduism is the notion of the collective unconscious. Certain tenets of Indian religions and philosophy, including Buddhism and Vedanta, were rejected by Jung. When these religions claim that one can attain moksha or nirvana, they are saying that one can become completely free of the human ego. On this issue of dispute, Jung's philosophical approach is decidedly Western, since he insists that a total annihilation of the individual ego is logically impossible. According to Jung, a Hindu or Buddhist teacher who completely abandons his ego would shortly experience a kind of psychological death. According to Jung, nirvana or moksha cannot exist since they are inherently unattainable. His argument against the possibility of an ego-less state of consciousness seems to put too much faith in reason and science, even if he warned us against doing so. It would appear that Jung makes a logical difference between a person's limited perception of reality and objective reality. Even Jung concedes the existence of a higher state of awareness in which the ego disappears. In other words, Jung acknowledges the existence of a Purusha, or suprafunctional awareness. However, he argues that one can still have an ego in this condition. According to Eastern mystical thought, when we reach the highest level of awareness, we are free from the ordinary reifying processes that give us warped views and judgments, tailored to our concept of the subject we consider ourselves to be. In this condition, there is no longer any distinction between Purusha and anything else. It is the only thing we can see. The individual subject is also a part of the Supreme One in this mode of awareness, a oneness without dualism or a knower. That is, it's a mental state in which the knower becomes preoccupied with his or her own familiarity. There is no room for the individual self in such a state of awareness, just a supreme intuition in which there is no differentiation between subject and object. According to Hindu belief, the ultimate purpose of existence is to reach moksha, or escape from the endless cycle of reincarnation. Realizing one's actual essence is the key to achieving moksha. Meditation, introspection, and self-discipline are just a few of the spiritual disciplines that can aid in the progressive dissolution of the ego and awakening to one's actual divine essence, which are all necessary steps on the path to moksha. According to Jung, developing a strong sense of identity through the individuation process is the primary purpose of human life. Individual development or individuation is the process of becoming a unique, full person via the conscious recognition, acceptance, and integration of all of one's psyche's many components, including the unconscious and its archetypes. The result of going through this is an enhanced capacity for self-awareness and development. The unconscious can be uncovered through introspection, dream analysis, and creative visualization. Moksha, nirvana, and individuation may have some same ground, but have different ends in mind. There are a lot of parallels between these two procedures. In both cases, the protagonist goes on a quest for self-discovery and personal development. The goal of the cosmic man is for the person to attain a condition of completeness and balance by facing and integrating different components of their mind. The cosmic man represents a mythical ideal that is shared by many civilizations. This heavenly figure represents our innate need to change who we are. It is shown as a primordial cosmic behemoth experiencing a magical metamorphosis. There is more to the cosmic man than meets the eye. It perfectly captures the heartfelt desire for oneness between the self and the conscious ego. It encourages people to explore the recesses of their own selves, to take off their society masks, and instead embrace their innermost, most secret selves. As one dives deeper into the cosmic man's secrets, the lines between the familiar and the unknown blur, and the path to individuation transforms into an exciting adventure in self-discovery. I hope this video enriches your life. Please subscribe and like this video if you found it useful. Thanks for watching to the end. Until next time, be happy.